So, hello everybody and welcome. Yes, welcome back here at BSN Network. You back here, BSN Network. This is BSN Network podcast here today. It is Friday, October 29th. Hopefully everybody's having a day so far and a good rest of their day yesterday. It is, in fact, Friday, October 29th here today, coming off of another night last night in sports, which involved a lot of good action in the world of sports as the Packers and Cardinals obviously, it was the Thursday night game, and it was a good one. I mean, it was slow a little bit, not much scoring. I don't think really many of us expected it to be that kind of game in terms of pace and overall, just in terms of overall play and everything. But, I mean, either way, no matter how you want to put it, it was a close game. It really came down to the final couple possessions. Kyler Murray with the pick in the end zone. And, I mean, it was a miscommunication, whether today you want to blame A.J. Green, whether you want to blame Kyler Murray, whatever you want to do, it doesn't matter. It's an interception. Cardinals lose the game, and they fall to 6-1, so, or 7-1 rather. So now you look at the Packers, a team who started off 0-1, looked awful, looked absolutely terrible, didn't look good at all. Looked like they might have been in that position to kind of be one of those teams that was going to be unexpectedly bad this year, and the Packers have won 7 straight games, and now the Cardinals lose their first game of the season. And that interception wasn't on Kyler Murray, really. AJ Green should be turning, AJ Green, he should be cutting there. As a quarterback, you're told, this is just common sense. You throw it before they make the move. So if you're doing a comeback, you're going to throw that ball right as they're about to make their move. So when they turn around, that ball's already right there. You're not going to wait and then throw it, because then if you wait and throw it, the defense has time to catch up, and that's not going to result in a positive play. So it's kind of 50-50, because number one, was A.J. Green maybe expecting the ball? Maybe no. Maybe in the huddle, maybe A.J. Green wasn't expecting the ball to be thrown to him, or maybe, sometimes guys have, kind of have ideas of who they're going to go to. Maybe A.J. Green didn't expect it. Maybe it was simply a miscommunication. Frankly, you could also look at it as, hey, A.J. Green was covered pretty tightly. Even if Kyler Murray throws that ball, it's a tight window. It might not even be completed anyway. But either way, it doesn't matter. Cardinals lose. Packers win 24-21. Like I said, it wasn't a pretty game. It really wasn't. There was a lot of mistakes. Kyler Murray throwing 2 interceptions. Rodgers starting, not having the biggest game ever. He did throw 2 touchdowns, but and 184 yards, but wasn't his best game ever either. Missed some throws. They were choppy in the beginning. So, for all the hype it got, it did come down to the wire, but I thought overall it was one of those games where it's like definitely a little bit of slower, more defensive. Mistakes really hurt teams, and that was the end of the game. That was the storyline. Mistakes. The team that made less mistakes, Packers, they won the game. Teams that made more mistakes, Cardinals, they lost the game. That's what's going to happen in the NFL, and that's what's going to happen in sports in general. You make less mistakes than your opponent, 9 times out of 10, you're going to win the football game. So we'll see how everything else plays out on Sunday, because we do have a packed weekend ahead of us. A lot of really good college games. You got a couple really good college games, some good NFL games. So a lot to get to today on the podcast. Let's get to the topics for today's podcast. Tonight, you got the World Series resuming tonight. You got the World Series tonight. You got the Nets tonight. And you also got the Rangers tonight as well. So Rangers, Blue Jackets tonight. Nets, Pacers tonight. And then you also got the World Series Game 3 tied 1-1 as Atlanta plays home to Houston. We'll see how the rest of that series plays out. All right, let's get to the topic for today's podcast. As you all know, it's Friday. You all know the drill. No need for me to, talk all about it. But yes, you know the drill. Today is Friday, so we will give you my NFL game picks. I'll give you my record going into the week. I'll give you my record on last night's game. So we'll get to that. We'll get to the Jets. We'll get to the Giants. We'll get to all that stuff. We'll get to the NFL, all that good stuff. Well, actually, take that back. We'll get to the Jets. The Giants play Monday, so we'll preview that game on Monday. But, yeah, we'll get to some Jets and the rest of the NFL and preview it all and give you my takes on each game. And, we'll see how everything goes. Then the next topic will be fantasy football advice. Like I said, the drill. It's football. It's a football Friday. You got to love football Fridays. Week 8 already. I can't believe it is week 8. That is always how it is in the NFL, right? It's always how it is every year. You get so pumped up for week 1, and a snap of the finger, it's week 8 already. And it feels like the season has gone by so quickly. The Jets are already playing their 7th game of the season, and it's like Jets already have their bye week's already over. It's like pretty wild how quick the NFL season goes. But yeah. A lot to get to on the podcast. So we'll get to fantasy football advice. I'll also mix in a little basketball, either there or the New York Sports Update, depending on how timing is and all that stuff. And then we'll get to the New York Sports Update. Like I just mentioned, you got a lot of stuff going on tonight in New York Sports. First of all, New York Sports right now, if you're a Knicks fan, I will let you have your moment, and deservedly, very deserving. Knicks fans deserve to be on a very high float right now. The Knicks fans right now deserve to be as crazy and as wild and whatever they want to say, they can say right now, because the Knicks right now are riding high 4-1 with a big win last night against Chicago in Chicago. They're the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I didn't think I would ever be saying that. The New York Knicks right now, if the season would end today, the New York Knicks would be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. They would be the 1 seed, get this, the 1 seed playing host to the Milwaukee Bucks. Just think about that for a second. If the season would to end today, the Brooklyn Nets, or not the Brooklyn Nets, rather, my bad. Even listen to this. Knicks would be the 1 seed hosting a playoff game against the Bucks, and the Nets right now wouldn't be in the playoffs. If the season would end today, the Nets would be done, and the Knicks would be hosting a first-round series against the Bucks. Just take that in for a second. And also, if you really want to get, the Sixers, too, would be a play-in team. A team that many say could win the East. They would be in the play-in series. So that just goes to show you the wild start to the NBA season. And oh yeah, by the way, the Wizards would be hosting a playoff game as well. So the crazy things that have happened, Hornets would be hosting a playoff game, Wizards hosting, Bulls hosting, and Knicks would all be hosting first round games. Just think about that for a second. Actually, I take that back. Do the Knicks play the winner? I think the Knicks, or is it overall best record? Does the Knicks, because the whole play-in thing, would the Knicks play? I don't know. Either way, that's pretty crazy if you ask me. Alrighty. And then you get to the Western Conference, and the Western Conference is also very crazy as well. If the season would end the Western Conference, the Jazz would be hosting a first-round series against the Nuggets. Yes, the Nuggets would be an 8 seed. The Kings would be in the playoffs. The Timberwolves would be hosting a playoff series if the season would end today. And I don't want to make too much of this, but it is fun. The Clippers would be eliminated. Lakers would have to be a play-in, which isn't outrageous. The defending, or going to the championship last season, obviously the Suns were not able to win it, but the Suns would be just on the brink of missing it. They would just be able to get into the play-in series. The Clippers, though, they would be done. So, pretty crazy how the NBA season has started. Warriors would be a 2 seed. Just wild. So, it is crazy how the season has started. It really is. But that's what makes it so fun. It's fun when you have a season start off crazy like this. Now, I want my Nets to win. The Nets need to get going here. Tonight's a big game. You fall to 2-4, there's going to be issues. I mean, there's going to be things that fans are going to say, coaches are going to need to step up. Things are going to need to be changed if you lose tonight. Because you can no way fall 2-4 and sit here and say everything's just fine. Because then, maybe rotations need to be changed, something like that. We'll see how everything goes. With all that being said, though, I could sit here and talk about days about the standings right now, because the standings are wild. I know we're only 5-6 games into the season, but it is pretty crazy how the season has already started. It really is. Anyway, with all that being said, this is the BSN podcast, and let's get right into it. All right, so like I mentioned earlier with the Packers and the Cardinals, Packers were able to defeat the Arizona Cardinals 24-21, improving to 7-1 on the season. Cardinals falling to 7-1 on the season, so two teams that very well, like Rodgers said in his post-game press conference, very well, good chance they see each other again in the playoffs. My game picks record going into this week is 70-38. Like I said, I'm honest. I don't I don't sit here, and if I predict one team to win and they don't win, I'm not going to sit here and say I predicted the team to win that won. I predicted the Cardinals to win last night. They did not win, so I'm 0-1 this week on my Thursday Night Football game pick. I was 0-1 last week as well. I forget who played last week for Thursday Night Football. Is it bad that I'm forgetting this? I feel like I should be remembering this right as I see it. Yep, Broncos, Browns. I predicted the Broncos to win due to all the injuries. So after starting off 6-0 on my Thursday night game picks, I have now dropped my last 2 Thursday night games. So I'm now 6-2 overall on the season, picking the Thursday night games, and I'm 0-1 to start week 8. And my record overall is 70-38. So still hoping that I can have a solid week, even though I got last night's pick wrong. Still a good chance to have a solid week. Alrighty, with all that being said, you know the drill. We'll get through each game, give you my takes, give you my picks, and talk a little bit more about the Jets, given they're my favorite team, given they're a New York sports team channel centered around New York sports. So we'll give you a little bit more in-depth look at the Jets game. Jets right now in a very bad situation. Backup quarterback, missing your number one receiver, injuries all over the place. If we make this game competitive, it would be a miracle. Either way, with all that being said, let's get into Week 8 NFL game picks. Alrighty, starting us off here, like I said, it's no particular order. It's just how it comes up on my screen. So starting us off here, game number 1. San Francisco 49ers against the Chicago Bears. Niners coming in 2-4. Bears coming in 3-4. Niners are 4-point favorites. The over-under is set at 39.5. This game goes on 1 Eastern, October 31st, 1 Eastern on Fox, right? We all know how this is, right? This is an interesting game. Both these teams coming off of a really tough losses. Chicago coming off of an utter blowout. Chicago got absolutely blown out last week, 38-3. Justin Fields easily had his worst game of his NFL career. Had 6 turnovers or something like that? I know he had 3 interceptions. I think he had 3 or something like that, fumbles. Either way, he was really bad, was not good at all, was awful, was simply awful. And like we said with Zach Wilson, the big question with Zach Wilson was that game where he threw 4 interceptions against New England in week 2. The big question was, how does Wilson respond? Wilson came back the next week against Denver. Didn't play bad, didn't play good. He was kind of he did his job. He made some passes, all that stuff. He did throw an interception that went right through Braxton Berrios' hands. Jets got crushed anyway that day. Storyline really wasn't Zach Wilson. Storyline was how bad the team played. But all that stuff, all that in consideration, this is a big game for Chicago and big game especially for Justin Fields. Because whenever you have your first really bad game as a quarterback in the NFL, the big question is the next game is, how do you bounce back? Do you bounce back with short-term memory and come back and have a good game? I'm not saying go off, throw 5 touchdowns and lead your team to a 42-10 victory, but do you come back, play well, look like the quarterback that they drafted you, right? Look like that guy that they expect you to be? Or do you come back and can you not get that bad performance out of your head, and did you develop bad habits and you look bad again? That's the big storyline coming into this game. And as for San Francisco, this is arguably one of the biggest games of the season. You lose this game, your chances of playoffs are pretty much over with. You win this game, you're staying afloat. You lose it, you're pretty much done. You're on the road in Chicago. Bears, if they win this game, could get back to the 500 mark. I'm not saying anything, but I will tell you this. If they get back to the 500 mark and the Vikings lose against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football, which I think will be a good game, Bears will be a second-place team in the NFC North. So it's not outrageous to say the Bears aren't done yet. So a big game for both teams. I do think the Niners will win. I just think they're the better football team. I really do. Until I see otherwise from Fields, he hasn't really had that performance yet to really convince me that he's going to be able to go out there and really, really, really play well and really bounce back. Give me the Niners in an extremely low-scoring 17-10 football game. Niners win. They cover the 4 points. Give me the Niners 17-10. They win with a late touchdown or something like that. Maybe it's 14-10, kick a field goal, Bears get the ball back, 20 seconds, don't do anything with it. Niners win 17-10. Take the under on the over-under of 39.5, and the Niners cover the 4 points. Give me the Niners. Alrighty, next up here, we got the Bills and the Dolphins. Bills come into this game 4-2. Dolphins come into this game with a brutal 1-6 record. Bills are 14-point favorites. The over-under is set at 49. This comes on 1 Eastern on CBS. All right, well, here it is. The question mark all of us is asking, is this going to be Tua's last game with the Dolphins? Is Tua going to get traded? Are the Dolphins going to trade for Deshaun Watson? Is Deshaun Watson going to get traded at all? We all have those questions. Those are all very big questions when it comes to the NFL trade deadline. And I'm going to tell you this. All right, the Dolphins have played awful this year. They've not been good at all. They've been really bad, losing to the Jaguars, getting destroyed again. They don't look good. Tua's not playing that well. They don't look good. You know who does look good? The Buffalo Bills. And you're at home, coming off a bye week, coming off of a really tough loss against Tennessee. You have a bye week. That's the worst feeling ever when you lose and you have a bye week. You got to let that thing just marinates and it just sits there and you just can't get over it. Bills are going to be really, they're chomping at the bit to get back out there. They're going to be real. I think the Bills are going to come out of this game firing. Like, they're going to come out of this game with a chip on their shoulder, just want to run through something. I could see that very well, especially after how they lost to Tennessee. They got a bye week. They got some rest. Go back out there. I think this is going to be a murder fest on Halloween. Bills win 31-10. I don't think there's any chance the Dolphins win this game. Give me the Bills 31-10. They think they cover the 14 points. I'll take the under and the over-under 49. And the Bills cover the 14 easily. No chance the Dolphins win this game. Mark my word, no chance they win this game. Give me the Bills. Alrighty, next up we got an interesting one. A very interesting game. Eagles-Lions. Eagles come into this game 2-5. Lions are still searching for their first win of the season. They're at a rough 0-7. Eagles are 3.5-point favorites. The over-under is 48.5. This comes on Sunday, 1 Eastern on Fox as well. All right, this is an interesting game because you have an Eagles team that's been surprisingly competitive, right? I don't think many people expected the Eagles to be competitive. I think everyone expected the Eagles and the Texans to be the laughingstock of the league, and I think it's fair to say the Texans are definitely up there as the laughingstock of the league, but the Eagles have been relatively competitive. And yes, they're not winning football games, but for the expectations going into the season, people had the Eagles winning 2-3 games. They've already won 2, and if they win this game, that'll be 3, and maybe they get on a little roll and make things a little bit more interesting just for their own sake. They're not making the playoffs. They're not winning the NFC East. They're not going to happen. Cowboys are going to want to run away with the division, and the Eagles just aren't good enough. But the Eagles are a competitive football team, and it'll be interesting to see how they continue to grow and continue to develop. And the biggest thing here for the Eagles the rest of the year is, how does Jalen Hurts do? Does Jalen Hurts completely prove to you he's the guy? Or is it going to go into the offseason again, kind of 50-50, like Hurts showed moments but not consistent? Do we go get another guy, or do we still believe in Hurts? There's always those things. With the Lions just got to find a way to win a football game. Because the Lions this season have been so close so many times to winning games, and they just don't happen. And call me crazy, but even last week, they got off to a good start. They were winning like 13-3 to start the game, and they blew it. And then you have a chance to make it really interesting late, and Goff throws a red zone interception. Like, the Lions have been in football games. They've been close. Can they come through with a win? I don't think so. I kind of just ruined the vibe there. I made it seem like I was going to pick the Lions. I'm not going to pick the Lions. Okay, I did pick the Lions, I think, against the Bears this season. I'm probably not going to pick the Lions until they win. And if they win, I still might not pick them. It depends on who they're going against. Give me the Eagles, though. The Eagles have been competitive. They've been better than what people expected. And as much as weird things are going on over there with what Nick Sirianni is doing, it's weird. It's weird. Give me the Eagles, though. And I think it's going to be actually relatively close. Eagles win 28-24. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Eagles score late and make it a game. And I think I could see the Lions again going downfield and Goff throwing like a late interception for that. I could just see it. I'm not saying I don't want to see pain for Lions fans, because I know there's been a lot of it this year. I know that feeling, but I could just see it happening again. It just seems like a very Lions thing to do this season. Give me the Eagles 28-24. I'll take the over on the over-under, over on the over-under of 48.5. And I think the Eagles just cover the 3.5 points. Give me the Eagles. Alrighty, next up here we got the Falcons and the Panthers. Falcons come into this game 3-3. Panthers are 3-4. Falcons are 3-point favorites. The over-under is set at 46.5. 1 Eastern on Fox as well. Well, here's the big thing. Another team, too. Are the Panthers going to trade for Sam Darnold, rather? Are the Panthers going to trade for Deshaun Watson? What's going to go on with Darnold if they do trade for Watson? All those questions. One of the big things going into this game, and what I want to continue to say is, just like it was with Fields, this is a big game for Darnold, right? Not just because of the way he played last week, but of all the speculation of, Watson and, Darnold might not even be there next season. Darnold I'm sure Darnold deep wants to show the Panthers fans, wants to show everyone why he deserves a spot on that roster, why he should be the starting quarterback. Because let's be honest here. I'm not trying to say anything, but if Darnold does in fact struggle the rest of the season, that might be it for him. Like his time in the NFL might be up. He might be a backup, but that might be it for him. I don't think another team's going to go out and take a chance on him to be their starting quarterback. Either way, he got benched last week. This is a big opportunity for him to just turn the script, go out there, and be 10 times better than he was last week. Because I'll tell you what, Falcons, man, they win this game, they're 4-3. They are 4-3 if they win this game. And as crazy as it might sound, if they win, they are 4-3. And then they have the Saints. That's not impossible. Then you have the Cowboys, Patriots, which are going to be tough. Patriots not impossible. Cowboys are going to be tough. But Patriots is winnable. Jaguars is winnable. Very winnable. Bucks is going to be tough. Panthers, again, is winnable. Niners is winnable. Lions is winnable. You look at this Falcons schedule, and it's not a crazy hard schedule. You could very well, if they continue to win and play like they do, you could very well see maybe 4 or 5 more wins, which would lead them to like an 8-9, 9-8 record, which would make things interesting. I think the Falcons squeak one out. I really do. Give me the Falcons 21-20. I think they win with a late touchdown. A late touchdown. It would be like something 17-14. Panthers kick a field goal. It'll be like 20-14 with like a minute left. Falcons drive downfield, score a touchdown, win the game. I could see something like that. Give me the Falcons 21-20. I don't think they cover the 3 points. I take the under and the over-under of 46.5. I don't think they cover, but I do think the Falcons win. Do I really have to go into... I'm not really going to go into much detail into this one. Rams, Vikings. Rams are 6-1. Vikings come into this game 1-6. Hold on a second. Rams, Texans, rather. I knew it. I wasn't saying something right. So the Rams come into this game 6-1. Vikings are Vikings again. Texans are 1-6. Rams are 16.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 47. Over/under or set at 47. And this comes on 1 Eastern on Fox. Not much detail I have to go into this one. One of the best teams in the league versus one of the worst teams in the league. You know I'm going to pick. Give me the Rams. Blowout. 35-7. 35-7. I'll take the under on the over/under of 47. And the Rams cover the 16.5. Give me the Rams. Alright, next up here, actually a pretty good game. You got the Steelers and the Browns. Browns come into this game 4-3. Steelers are 3-3. Browns are 4-point favorites. The over/under is set at 42. This game goes on Sunday, 1 Eastern on CBS. It's a big game for the NFC North, right? Big game for the Browns, especially if the Browns still want a chance to, win the NFC North and still want a chance to, take over and be up there with teams like the Ravens and the Bengals. And sure, they're going to need some help, but if the Browns win this game, this is big because they would be 5-3, and depending on what happens to the Bengals, and obviously the Ravens have a bye week, but let's say the Jets do upset the Bengals, you're talking about 5-3. You're talking about both teams being in a really good position to, be there the rest of the season. And this NFC North is very exciting. As much as it might not sound like the most exciting division, that's always how the NFC North has been. It's been a tough, physical. It might not be as exciting to watch the teams play, but it's always good games. And you look at the worst team in the division, that's the Steelers, and they're 3-3. All teams in this division have a realistic shot of winning and making the playoffs and winning the division. And as much as, sure, do the Bengals and Ravens have a better shot over the Steelers? Yes. Do the Browns have a better... Out of all the teams, who would probably has the least shot? Probably the Steelers. And out of all 4 of the teams, who probably has the best shot? Right now, I would actually say the way they're playing, yes, the Ravens are there. I think the way they're playing, the Bengals do. Especially if Jamar Chase continues to just be a stud out there and all that stuff. We'll get to him and the Jets in a little bit, but it's a big game for the division. I mean, whoever wins this game If the Browns lose this game, they'll be 4-4. Steelers win this game, they're 4-3. Just like that, they bump up into third place, and you get some help from other teams. Steelers right back in it. So this is a big game for the NFC North. I do think the Browns win this game, and I learned my lesson last week. I said the Browns were going to lose last week, and the Browns were better than the Broncos. We knew that. Well, like, healthy, Browns are better than the Broncos. I looked too much into the injuries, and personally, I think the Browns are better than the Steelers, so I'm not going to sit here and go over injuries and all that stuff. What I am going to say is Browns are going to win this game. I think the Browns win. Give me the Browns low-scoring 24-17 win. I'll take the under on the over 42, and I think the Browns cover the 4 points. Give me the Browns in a big win. Alrighty, next up here we got the Colts and the Titans. Colts come into this game 3-4. Titans are 5-2. The Colts are 3-point favorites. The over/under is set at 51. This game goes on 1 Eastern on CBS. Alright, I'll tell you this. Titans played one heck of a football game. Either way, still have one heck of a football game. The other week against the Bills, right? And you look at that game, two teams, in all seriousness, though, I mean, both teams coming off of big emotional victories, right? You have the Colts coming off of that victory Sunday night in the rain against San Francisco in San Francisco. And then you have the Titans coming off of the big win against the Bills. And then most recently last week, just dominating and humiliating the Kansas City Chiefs, especially Patrick Mahomes. So two teams coming off of big-time victories, coming off of big-time wins that really could, make your season go for maybe going a little bit off the rails to, right back on it, right? You can make the argument both these teams were just about a loss away, especially the, Colts. Both these teams, there was times where their train might have went a little bit, would look like it was going off the rails, and they steered it back in place. This is an underrated game this weekend. It really is. I think it's an underrated game. Like, you look at all the games, everyone's going to talk about, the Bucs Saints, Brady's return to New Orleans again. Vikings Cowboys is a good one. Giants Chiefs Monday night's actually going to be a fun one. You got, even last night's game was a big talk. There's a lot of games. Like, Browns-Steelers is going to be a pretty big game. This is one of the underrated games this weekend. Like, this is a game that I could see being one of the ones where people are watching, all gathering around after all the 1 o'clock games are done, and this one could be close. I do think the Texans win, though, strictly because I think they're just the better team on offense. And the Colts defense as well, yes, they've been good, but not good enough to counter and stop this Titans defense, this Titans offense. Give me the Titans 31-21. I think it's closer than 31-21, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I think it's going to be one of these games where it's going to be 31-21. It will be like 24-21, and they'll score late to just put some cushion on it. Titans win 31-21. Give me the Titans. Over on the over-under of 51, and I think they win, and give me the Titans +3. Titans win. All right, we got the Seahawks and the Jaguars. Seahawks are 2-5. Jaguars 1-5. Seahawks are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 45. This game goes on 4:05 Eastern on CBS. First of all, who would have thought going into this game these would be? Well, I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. Personally, this is my opinion. I think many of us expected the Jaguars not to be a good team. But who expected the Seahawks to be this bad? I understand injuries and Russell Wilson going down and Geno Smith taking over, and that stuff you can't predict. It's not like they're just bad and Russell Wilson's playing. They got injuries. But this definitely was one of these games where you look at the calendar at the beginning of the year and you're a Seahawks fan. You're like, oh, easy win. Chalk that up and it's an easy win. I still think the Seahawks win this game, but it might not be as close as many expect, or as blowout as many expect. It's going to be a blowout. Okay, I was being a little sarcastic. It's going to be a blowout. I understand no Russell Wilson. I get that. The Jaguars are terrible. They're awful. The Seahawks have actually been in football games even with Geno Smith there. It's just a matter of finishing him out and not making the stupid mistake late. Give me the Seahawks 31-14. I'll take the over on the over-under of 45, and I think the Seahawks cover the 3.5-point Seahawks win. They're also home, too. Trevor Lawrence, first time going into like a hostile environment. We'll see how he goes. We'll see how he fares. That's a big test on a rookie quarterback. Sure, all this, going to other stadiums, that's nice. You go to Seattle, and inside that stadium, CenturyLink Field, that's a different monster over there. So definitely that's a different monster you got to tackle. Alrighty, 4 games left here. Then we'll get to the Jets. Chargers, Patriots. Chargers are 4-2. Patriots 3-4. Chargers come in this game 4-point favorites. The over/under is set at 49.5. This game goes on 4:05 Eastern as well on CBS. Chargers had a tough week. Chargers. Obviously had a tough week, the week before. They obviously played the Ravens, did not play well at all. Really struggled. 34-6, just did not look good. They looked really bad. And now they come out against the Patriots and, an opportunity to kind of flip the switch. And this is one of these games like kind of like the Bills, right? They went into against Baltimore, a big AFC matchup, one of those games that could really be pivotal down the stretch. They lose. Herbert doesn't play well. Offense doesn't play well. They got smoked 34-6. You go into the bye week, you got a bad taste in your mouth. You come out into this game, big game against New England, at home, out of the bye week. This is almost similar to what the Bills, right? I could see the Chargers as well just storming out of the gate. Like absolutely just dominating from start to finish. Coming out of the game, scoring a touchdown early, maybe getting a turnover, then scoring another. That's how I can see the Bills game going. And I'm going to say the same thing here for the Chargers. Scoring early, get a big lead, hold on to it, win the game. Give me the Chargers 30. Give me the Chargers 24-10. Then their defense locks down Mac Jones and that Patriots offense. I'll take the under on the over-under 49.5, and I think the Chargers win and they cover the 4 points. Alrighty, next up here, we got the Buccaneers and the Saints. And if this was last year's game, you look at this as a really good game. But it's a little different. Instead of it being Brady Breeze, it's Brady Winston. Jameis Winston gets a crack at his former team for the first time since taking over as Saints quarterback. And the Buccaneers come into this game 6-1. Saints come into this game 4-2. 4.5 point favorites are the Bucs, and the over-under is 50.5. This game goes on 4:25 Eastern on Fox. Well, I'm not trying to say anything because the Bucs have been dominant this year, but this is a big game. I mean, if the Saints win this game, they're 5-2. Bucs are 6-2. You're a win away then from taking over that division. And you're a Bucs loss away. Now that's a lot. You're asking for a lot. I just said this. I just said Saints got to win this week, win next week. Bucs got to lose this week and lose, next time, right? That's what I pretty much just said. So you got to take it step by step. But this is a big game. I mean, although on paper it might look like, Buccaneers Saints, they're going to win. And I do believe the Buccaneers will win. I do believe that. But you look at the standings, and it's like, wow, if the Saints actually win this game, you're talking about Saints win this game. You're talking about them being 5-2, the Bucs being 6-2. A, Bucs playing one more game with them because they haven't been the bye week yet, and B, Saints already being up 1-0 on the division, or already having that division win against the Bucs. So if the Saints would win this game, and let's just say the Bucs lose next time, and then the Saints lose their next game, Saints win their next game. Technically, Saints would be number 1 in the division because they have that tiebreaker against the Bucs. That's how big this game is. So this is a good one. On paper, it might not look like a good one. And personally, to me, saying, Bucs Saints, we all know Bucs are going to win. I do believe the Bucs are going to win. But in terms of magnitude of this game, this is a big game. Like, on paper, it might look like, Bucs are going to win. No doubt about it. It's not the same Saints-Bucs rivalry as it used to be with Breeze. And since Brady's, taken over, played him 3 times last year, right? Because then they played the one time in the playoffs. Brady finally got him in the playoffs. But really, though, you look at the standings, this is a big game. This is a very, very big game for both teams. I do think the Bucs will win, though. They're home, or no, not they're home. They're on the road. But either way, yes, they're on the road. I'm still that guy that I just don't trust Jameis Winston yet. I really don't. I just don't trust he can be the guy that goes in and beats the Bucs and outscores Brady and does all that stuff. He's not been bad, but it's Tom Brady and it's Jameis Winston. Ultimately, I think turnovers hurt again. Give me the Bucs 35-31. High-scoring affair. I don't think the Bucs cover the 4.5, but I do think they'll win. I'll take the over on the over-under 50.5, and I think the Bucs win, but they don't cover. They don't cover, but they do win. Give me the Bucs. Alrighty, 2 more left here, then we'll get to the Jets and the Bengals. Broncos, Washington. Broncos come into this game 3-4. Washington's 2-5. You talk about in need of a win. Washington's in that spot right now. The Broncos are 3.5-point favorites. The over/under is set at 44.5. This game goes on 4:25 Eastern on Fox as well. This is one of these games that you look at on the schedule, and although it might not turn almost like the Bucs and the Saints, although you look at this game and the two teams might be like, oh, it's Broncos, Washington. Who really wants to watch that game? Well, in all honesty here, let's be honest here, this is one of these games that means a lot for both teams. I mean, this is almost, you can make the argument that both teams are in a must-win situation. If Broncos lose this game, they fall to 3-5, they pretty much sink in their division. But if the Washington loses this game, they fall to 2-6, and there's a chance by the end of Sunday they could be last place in their division. Or actually not by the end. Well, technically they could be, because they would be 2-6. So there's a chance that if Washington loses this game, there's a very realistic chance they'll be last place going into Monday. Then whatever happens with the Giants happens with the Giants. But if they lose this game and the Eagles beat the Lions, which is very realistic, Washington could be last place in their division. And going into the year with all this hype on Washington, that could slowly fade just like that. And it is. So this is a big game for them. And as for the Broncos, well, Broncos are in a must-win too. You start off the season 3-0, beating the Jaguars, Texans, and Jaguars, Texans, and Jets. And now you're like, oh, wait a minute, we've lost 4 straight. And you're in a must-win too here, because you lose this game, you're 3-5. Chiefs with a very winnable game Monday night against the Giants. They'll be 4-4. You'll fall really back in the standings there. So definitely a big game here in terms of that. And, definitely a big game in terms of that. And are both these teams struggling? Yes. But, in terms of saving your season or at least having some hope, this is a big game. I mean, you talk about a must-win. It's absolutely it's a must-win. My bad. Giants, Jaguars, Jets were their first 3 teams. You talk about a must-win. This is a must-win for both teams, especially for Washington. Broncos maybe you can get a little bit because especially, let's say the Chiefs do lose. But talk about a must-win. This is one of these games that it's a must-win for Washington. You lose this game, you're 2-6. You're pretty much done. You got to look to you just got to look to reset. If you win the game though, you're 3-5. You're like, okay, all right, we're not dead yet. We're close, but not yet. And you look at Denver too. I mean, look at their schedule. Cowboys not going to be easy. Eagles winnable. Both teams are kind of same boat, like eh. Then the bye week, but then listen to this. Then Chargers not easy. Chiefs on the road. I don't care how bad the Chiefs are or how good they are. Chiefs on the road, not an easy place to play. Lions winnable. Bengals not easy. Raiders not easy. Chargers not easy. End the year with the Chiefs. So you look at the Broncos record, not easy at all. You lose this game. If you lose this game, you're Denver. You could be looking at a 4-win season or 5-win season rather. Honestly, maybe you get one against the Eagles and the Bengals or the Lions, and that's it. Even the Eagles, that's not an automatic. There's a chance you lose this game. You could be staring at a 4-win season for Denver. Starting off the year 3-0, you could be looking at a 4 or 5-win season, especially if you lose this game. So, with all that being said, I will tell you this. This one I switched my pick a little bit. I kept on going back and forth on this one. I came to the finalization of I'm going to pick the Broncos, and I decided to do this because I originally picked Washington, and then I was like, no, that's not right. And then I took Denver. And I was like, wait, hold on. I don't think that's right. Then I took Denver. Then I took Washington again. And then I stuck with Denver. And I still don't believe that I'm making the right pick. Like, I still don't know about it. Just something about Broncos being home against an opponent that struggled. They've done well, it seems, all the time with that. So it's like, that's kind of the same boat. Broncos have beaten the teams they needed to beat, and they've lost to the teams that they were predicted to lose. Broncos are a very predictable football team. They beat the teams they need to beat, but when they're expected to get crushed, well, they get crushed. So, give me Denver. 21-14. Low scoring game. Two offenses kind of in a way two stopgate quarterbacks right now. You look at Teddy Bridgewater, definitely I don't think the guy there, I mean, not that he's played bad, but Broncos will look for, another guy. And then you look at Taylor Heineke, and I don't think he's going to be a guy playing there his entire career either. So both teams are in a situation with like stopgate quarterbacks. They're kind of in a situation like It's not that they don't not like their quarterback situation, but it could be better. It's not awful. You're not rolling Davis Mills out there every week, but it could be better. But give me Denver 21-14. I'll take the under on the over-under 44.5, and I think Denver covers the 3.5. All right, final game here on the slate. We got the Vikings and the Cowboys. Vikings come into this game 3-3. Cowboys come into this game 5-1. Vikings are 3-point favorites. Over-under is set at 52. This game goes on Sunday, 8:20 Eastern on NBC. This is the Sunday night game. We'll finish off the day in the NFL. Well, I'll tell you this right now. I strongly disagree. I could say that 20 more times. I'll say 52 times because that's the over-under. I can say that so many times. I disagree with this spread. I really do. And although I do think it's actually going to be a decent game, I think in terms of energy and both, big game for Vikings. Really, if the Cowboys win this game, they already kind of have a commanding lead, but if the Cowboys win and Washington loses and Giants all lose and Eagles win, even if they win, you're 6-1. Your true threats, the Eagles, would be at 3-5. So, Cowboys are running away with the NFC. This is a big game for the Cowboys, too. So, you look at all that stuff, and it's Cowboys on the road against Minnesota. Minnesota's 3-3. This is a big game for Minnesota. Minnesota wins this game. You're another team, too. Looked like they were falling off the railroad tracks. They kind of went back into place, got that big win against Carolina, find themselves winning 3 of their last 4. Now you get a home game, big game. But a big game for Minnesota, and I'll tell you why. Look at their next schedule, right? You got the Cowboys, then you got the Ravens, then the Chargers, Packers. Okay, Niners, Lions are beatable, Steelers beatable, Bears beatable, but then you finish out the year Rams, Packers, and you have the Bears. So you go through a stretch here. This stretch right now is starting a 4-game stretch against arguably 2 of the best teams in the AFC. You can make the argument 2 top 5 teams in the AFC and 2 top 5 teams in the NFC. Cowboys and Packers, 2 top 5 teams in the NFC, and then you got Ravens and Chargers, arguably 2 top 5 teams in the AFC. So, you can make the argument they're the best. I don't know if I would agree, but definitely up there. So, this starts that stretch. You lose this game, then you got to go on the road against Baltimore, on the road against Chargers. That's brutal. That's awful. You could be looking at yourself, if you lose this game, you could be staring in, week 12, you could be looking at yourself 3-7 and looking toward the offseason. So, it's a big game for Minnesota. And as for Dallas, just try to take a more commanding lead. I get it's on the road. I get it the Vikings have got some confidence and they're coming off a bye, and that it could be one of these games where they come out firing, but I'm not going to go against the Cowboys. They've been amazing this entire season. Their defense has been great. Their offense has been awesome. All around has been a great team effort. Cowboys are going to win this football game. I truly believe that. 35-24, Cowboys win. I think comfortably. Now, don't let that be the case that I could see it being a close game, but I think ultimately late, I think the Cowboys are just a better team and have more firepower than Minnesota. Give me the Cowboys. 35-24. I'll take the over on the over-under 52. Give me the Cowboys plus the 3 points. Cowboys win. And then we'll get to the Giants-Chiefs on Monday, as that's the Monday night game. Alright, so the line just switched for the Jets game, by the way. So this is not really breaking news, but this just switched. So when we started the podcast, it was at 10.5. That was about 40 minutes ago. It is now just switched to 11. So for whatever it's worth, whatever it is, it's now at 11. So, if you're going to go out there and put money on the game or whatever, guess, whatever, it's now 11. So not really much of a change. It's just 0.5. You kind of round that 10.5 up to 11 anyway, but it's officially at 11. So that's just coming in now. Not really breaking news, but when we started the podcast, it was at 10.5. It is now at 11. Anyway, Jets-Bengals Sunday. Jets come into the game 1-5. Bengals come in this game 5-2. Bengals are 11-point favorites. The over/under is set at 42.5. This game goes on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern on CBS. Jets back at home at MetLife Stadium against a very, very, very good Cincinnati Bengals team. 82% of people think the Bengals will win. The big storyline of this game is Jets don't have Russell Wilson. They don't have Russell Wilson. My bad. Don't have Zach Wilson. They don't have Zach Wilson. I got to admit, you even listen to, I listen to broadcasts and stuff. There's been many times people mess up Russell Wilson with Zach Wilson because it's both Wilsons, both quarterbacks. Not comparing Zach Wilson to Russell Wilson, but they're similar play styles too. Mobile, strong arm, talented, either way. Back to my point. So Zach Wilson, obviously out. And that's the big thing. So, that's really the big storyline here. And Mike White takes over, and we'll see what Mike White can do against arguably one of the most improved, probably the most improved defense in the league, and right now is one of the better defenses this season in the league. And that's the big thing, is how does Mike White command this offense? There's a lot of injuries on the Jets right now. We got word earlier today that there was going to be no Corey Davis. He's out. A big loss for the Jets. It does bring up that Denzel Mims will get more of an opportunity, but it's really, it's one of these games that, the Jets are playing hurt. This is who the Jets are missing Sunday. Starting quarterback. They're without their number one receiver. They're without their starting left tackle, which has been the case for a little bit now with Beckham. They're without their starting edge rusher, which has been a little bit of a case because Carl Lawson. They're without their linebacker, without a safety. And that's what the Jets are rolling with this weekend. So, although Mosley's going to be back out there, and although Jared Davis should be back out there, he might be limited. They are getting some bodies back. They also lost some. And the fact that your backup quarterback comes in, the last thing you needed to hear was Corey Davis going down. Your number one receiver going down with an injury was the last thing you need. As if it could get any worse for the offense, it has with Corey Davis going down. But he's going to get more an opportunity now for Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims. And I'm begging you, Jets, get the football into Mims and Moore's hands. They can do damage. You'll get it to Crowder. That will automatically happen. Crowder will create his own space. He'll get the ball and he'll be consistent. But that's what you need to do. You need to go out and you just need to play good football. Don't throw many don't turnovers either. All right, that's another thing too. Backup quarterbacks sometimes will come in, they'll throw 3 picks, and they'll be garbage. You can't do that. You cannot do that because I'll tell you what, this offense led by Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, really good receiving core rather, they're going to make you count. They're going to make you pay for it. And another thing too I wanted to mention here was, you look at this Jets secondary. They're going to have their hands full all day. This will be their first huge test, is against this Bengals wide receiver unit. So the Jets have their hands full. They're at home. They're rocking the blackout uniforms. All I'm asking for the Jets is I want to win, obviously. But I think all of us Jet fans know the chances of that are very slim. I'm just asking, if you're not going to win, please just be competitive. Just give us something to root for, whether it's a nice catch, whether it's Elijah Moore or Denzel Mims having a good game and it makes us feel good about the future of this team at least. Please. Last week there was nothing good about that game. There was nothing as a fan you could take and say, oh, well, at least this guy did good. There was nothing at all. That was an awful performance, one of the worst games I've ever seen as a fan, and I've seen a lot of bad ones. That was one of the worst ones. I thought Denver was the worst one until we saw what happened last week. With Wilson or without Wilson. The fact that the defense allowed 54 points and allowed Brian Hoyer to stomp on them and have a scoring drive late in that fourth quarter is just a disgrace. So the Jets need to come out with more fight, more power, more firepower. They just need to come out with a different mindset. LaFleur, switch up the gate play calls a little bit. Let's see something different out of this team. Let's see something different this weekend. Sometimes those losses where you lose 54-13, sometimes it's kind of a smack, reality smacks you in the face like, hey, I got to wake up and change something. Because obviously what the Jets are doing right now isn't working. So fix it and go out there and at least be competitive. That's all. At least be competitive. I want to win. I want to enjoy. I want to enjoy a nice victory Monday. That's obviously that's the hope. But if you can't do that, at least be competitive and at least show some signs of fight. And we'll see what Mike White's all about. We will. Maybe Mike White's this stud that we never knew about. Maybe he isn't. But either way, Jets got to focus on this game. Can't get caught looking ahead to Indianapolis, the Thursday night game. You got to focus on this game. And then you can get ready for Indianapolis. You're back home. Blackout unis. Let's not get smoked in the blackout unis. And if you're going to lose, at least you lose in style, I guess. But let's not lose 54-13 again. Let's not. Defense, show up. Let's show some signs of fight. Show some signs of life. Overall, just show signs of fight. Like, the Jets had no fight. Like, you had all them hitting Wilson. Jets didn't even do anything to try to get to Mac Jones. Like, they didn't. Let's be better. Let's go out there, and let's hope we can win a football game. And as much as I want us to win, I don't think it's going to happen. Okay? I don't think it's going to happen at all. I think the Jets are probably going to get smoked this weekend. But I'm just hoping as a fan. I think we're probably going to get smoked, personally. But what I'm hoping for is us to win. And if we don't win, at least be competitive. At least show some signs of a guy playing well. And if you're going to lose, at least maybe show some positive signs of Mims having a good game or Elijah Moore having a couple nice catches. Because that's all part of growth. That's all part of growth. Right? That's all part of growing and learning and developing. Is even if you're losing, you're not getting wins. At least if you're seeing guys produce and get better over time, we haven't really seen that much. So let's see what the Jets can do this weekend. I don't think they'll win. I hope they win. I hope I'm wrong. But I think the Bengals win 35-10. I could see it being one of those again. So I'll take the over on the over-under 42.5, and I think the Bengals cover the 11 points. So I hope I'm wrong, but I want the Jets to win obviously every game. I would love that. That's you go into every game, you watch every game, you hope they win. But it's not going to be easy at all because this Bengals team is very good. So that's what I got for the Jets game. Alrighty, so let's get to the other picks. Obviously, you just heard my Jets pick. The rest of the picks, I got the 49ers winning, Bills winning, Eagles winning, Falcons winning, Rams winning, Browns winning, Titans winning, Seahawks winning, Chargers winning, Buccaneers winning, Broncos winning, Cowboys winning, and that's that. And then we'll get to the Chiefs-Giants game on Monday. Alrighty, so with that being said, that is what I got for my NFL game picks this week. Coming up next here, we got fantasy football advice. We'll get to start 'em, sit 'em, my lineup, injury updates. You know the drill. We'll get to that coming up next. Alright, so welcome me back here up at the podcast. Alright, so let's see here. Alrighty, so we got some a lot of injury updates in terms of fantasy football. Obviously, I did not do a podcast yesterday, so I apologize for not giving you any advice on the Thursday night game. I would have given you probably wrong advice anyway, because I did start DeAndre Hopkins. He really didn't do much. He had 2 catches for 66 yards. It's not really anything special. And I mean, two long catches. That's an average of what, like 35.5 yards, something like that, or 30-something yards. But either way, 2 big catches. So, he obviously had 2 big catches, but it's kind of one of those things where it's like, he had 2 good catches, but not many points for fantasy terms. And he was also out a little bit with the hamstring and all that kind of stuff. But I did start I did start Hopkins in my one league. So I'll read you my PPR league here just because, or my non-PPR league, the league that I started Hopkins in, because that's the league that I already got a guy going. So I'll just start off with that. I did have Hopkins. This is non-PPR, so PPR leagues, I believe he had like 8.6. My league here, he just got 6. 2 catches for 66 yards. I'm currently losing 20-6 because my opponent had Rodgers. He had 19, and he had Arizona defense who had 1. So he put in Arizona defense. We got him 1. So my opponent is winning 20-6 right now. He has a 52% chance to win. Projections are 110 to 108. So it's really close. It's definitely very close. I still got my entire roster going. My opponent's obviously got everyone except his quarterback and defense. So pretty much 8 other guys going other than his defense and his quarterback. So it's going to be a close matchup, definitely. But this is my roster. This is who I'm rolling with this week. So I'm still kind of debating on what to do with quarterback, whether I want to put in Stafford or want Herbert. Right now, I'm going with Stafford. So this is my lineup. Matt Stafford, I got Nick Chubb, Khalil Herbert, Hopkins already played, obviously, Justin Jefferson, Amari Cooper, Kyle Pitts, Antonio Gibson, Bears defense, and I got Tyler Bass. So that's what I got there. My hope is all those guys stay healthy. I'm still debating on, Stafford's projected 27 against Houston. Herbert's projected 25 against New England. So I don't like benching either of them, but one of them's going to have to get benched. That's just how it is. And it's a good problem to have. I'd rather that than not trust either of my quarterback. I trust both of them. If I were to put in Herbert, I would trust him. If I put in Stafford, I'd trust him. I'm just going against Stafford because I think he'll probably have the better game just because it's against Houston, and Houston's terrible. But that's my lineup. So right now it's Stafford. It's kind of your call. It's your opinion. It kind of is. I don't think many leagues have Stafford and Herbert in the same team on the same team. But if you are in that situation, I would definitely say, personally, I'm starting Stafford, but I wouldn't disagree with either at all. So it's kind of a tough one for me to go ahead and give you advice because I would have no issue with no matter who you're starting. My bench is obviously Herbert, Marvin Jones Jr., Corey Davis, Dawson Knox, Allen Robinson, and Zach Moss. So, injury updates are as follows. Antonio Gibson should be good to go. Gibson's shin doesn't have an injury designation for Sunday's game in Denver. John Keem of ESPN.com reports. So that's the update on him. I have kind of just thought about putting in Zach Moss over Antonio Gibson. I've definitely thought about it. It's a decision I'm still going to kind of take into consideration and definitely decide on. Gibson has not a good season at all. He hasn't. And he's against a good Denver defense on the road. Moss against Miami, where I think they'll destroy them. I kind of have that feeling of Moss is going to have a good week. I'm still going through that. I'm still deciding whether or not I'm going to play him. But this is the update on Corey Davis. So, Davis' hip is listed as doubtful for Sunday's game against the Bengals. Jay Morrison of The Athletic Report. So, tough news there for my fantasy team and the Jets. Although he was on my bench, but he's out there, especially for the Jets. Hurt his hip in practice. Just one of those unfortunate things. Alrighty, and as for my PPR league, this is what I got going. So I'm currently losing right now 9-0. He had Kyler Murray going. He had 9 points, so that's it. And I'm projected to win now. I have a 59% chance of winning. So 123 to 98. So I have a 59% chance of winning. So I'm in a good position there, and we'll see how everything plays out. But this is my roster this week. I got Ryan Tannehill, Alvin Kamara, Khalil Herbert, Amari Cooper, I do have Cooper, but A.J. Brown, Adam Thielen, Dalton Schultz, Amari Cooper, Browns defense, and Tyler Bass. And my bench is Boyd, McKissick, Jones Jr., Crowder, Marquise Brown, Devontae Parker, and Kenneth Gainwell. And injury updates are as followed. Devontae Parker is questionable. Parker's shoulder hamstring is listed as questionable for Sunday's game at Buffalo. Adam H. Beasley of the Miami Herald reports. So we'll see what all happens with him. And, he's just a depth guy, so it wouldn't really affect my team much, whatever he does. But either way, he's just a depth guy. So that's my lineup in that league. If I win that, I go from losing 4 straight games to winning 3. So that just goes to show you how fantasy football can be. So we'll see how everything plays out. Alrighty, and then I'll just get the fantasy basketball here because we're at it. As for fantasy basketball, I'm currently winning 898 to 642, so going good there. Today I've got going Brandon Ingram, Rashawn Holmes, Nikola Jokic, Darius Garland, Buddy Hield, Miles Bridges, Joe Harrison, Patty Mills. And the injury updates, Jokic. Jokic knee is questionable for Friday's game against the Mavericks. Harrison Wind of the Denver.com reports. So that's that. And then we'll get to the New York Sports Update. Nets, Rangers, baseball, and then some college as well. All right, let's get to the Nets first here. We'll get to the NBA. All righty, so as for today, we got the Raptors, Magic. I'll give Raptors the win. Heat, Hornets, I'll give Heat the win. Kings, Pelicans, I'll give Kings the win. Trailblazers, Clippers, give Trailblazers the win. Nuggets, Mavericks, give Nuggets the win. And Lakers, Cavs, I'll give Lakers the win. Nets, Pacers play tonight. Nets come in this game 2-3. Pacers come into this game 1-4. Nets are 8.5-point favorites. The over/under is 223 for this game. This game goes on today, 7:30 Eastern on Yes. 63% of people think the Pacers will win this game. It's tough. It's really tough. I guess the Nets, they haven't played well at all. Haven't been happy with the way they've played, but the Pacers have been struggling as well. So we'll see what team can catch fire here. And as for the World Series, both teams' series tied up at 1-1 as it heads to Atlanta for Game 3. Astros are rolling Luis Garcia out there on the mound, and Atlanta's got Ian Anderson on the mound. So I'm going to give the 8:09 Eastern on Fox. Give me the Braves. I like the Braves here. At home, loud crowd, all tied up at 1-1. I think the Braves will win this game. Give me the Braves. And as for the NHL, we got Hurricanes, Blackhawks. I'll give Hurricanes to win. Capitals, Coyotes, give Capitals to win. Panthers, Red Wings, give Panthers to win. Golden Knights, Ducks, give Golden Knights to win. And Stars, Senators, I'll give Stars to win. As for the Rangers, Rangers come into the game 4-2-1. Blue Jackets come into this game 4-2-0. The over-under is set at 5.5 for this game. This game goes on today, 7 Eastern on ESPN+. You could also find it on MSG. 51% of people think the Rangers will win. Give me the Rangers. They're rolling, Rangers just got to get a little smoother on offense. We're winning games, but we definitely have not reached our max potential. Panarin is still getting in stride and all that stuff. When we continue to get better there, we'll be good to go. And as for college football, Cincinnati, I give them a win. Iowa, Wisconsin, give me Iowa. Michigan, Michigan State. This is the big game of the weekend. I think Michigan's going to win. Although they're on the road, I think Michigan's going to win. I like their run. Both teams' run games really, really good. But give me Michigan. Texas, Baylor, I'll give Baylor the win. Iowa State, West Virginia, I'll give Iowa State the win. Georgia, Florida, give Georgia the win. To Oklahoma, Texas Tech, give Oklahoma the win. Duke, Wake Forest, give Wake Forest the win. Oklahoma State, Kansas, give Oklahoma State the win. Kentucky, Mississippi State, give Kentucky the win. Ole Miss, Auburn, I'll give Ole Miss the win. SMU, Houston, give Houston the win. Notre Dame, North Carolina, give Notre Dame the win. Penn State, Ohio State, give me Ohio State. BYU, Virginia, give BYU the win. San Diego State, Fresno State, give San Diego State the win. We also got Oregon, Colorado, give Oregon the win. And you also got Pittsburgh, Miami. So Pittsburgh comes in this game 6-1. Miami comes into this game 3-4. Pittsburgh's 9-point favorites. The over/under is set at 62. This game goes on tomorrow, 12 Eastern on the ACC network. 59% of people think Pittsburgh will win this game. Yeah, I think Pittsburgh will win. So that's that. So a lot of good college football on tomorrow. Michigan State game's the big one. That's like, you look at all the games, that's the big one, and that's huge for not just the Big Ten, but for the rankings too. That is a massive game. That's big. Statement too, because I think everybody knows they're talented, but it's really like this is their first big game. Let's see who really comes out. Two similar teams too. Good defense, really good run games. Two really similar football teams. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a good game. So we'll see how everything plays out there. It's going to be a very, very good game. And Michigan on the road, Michigan State, the rivalry, especially this game being that it means that much, it's going to be a big game. So we'll see how everything plays out. Alrighty, that will do it for the podcast here today. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it. Another week in the books here. Packed weekend ahead of us. You got baseball, you got hockey, you got basketball, you got college football, you got the NFL. Tons of sports on this weekend, so enjoy it all. It will be all very, very, very fun to watch. And yeah, as always, hopefully you all enjoyed it. As always, you all know I take breaks on the weekend, so I will see you all back here on Monday. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.